Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on the YouTube account and we are going to finally try to finish out Leviathan. Now it has been a crazy amount of time since we have been building out Leviathan. Incredibly disappointing with the summons that we had for him. And when it comes to Highborn Draconic heroes, we need one more copy of him, but that means we're going to be waiting probably the next 5 to 6 months with the release of new Highborn Draconic heroes. We're not going to be able to build any of them, unfortunately. Even looking at the Draconic scrolls, we got not very many scrolls at all. Which again is kind of crazy with the build itself. So what's going on? We got Tommy is here, Darren is here, Major, as well as a couple others. Thank you guys for joining me for a little bit of a later stream on Sunday. Had some football this morning, which was awesome. Short term, we're going ahead and we're lending out all of our heroes. I know players have been borrowing pretty much everyone, as you can see. I go ahead and auto lend these as they do come in. Now, overall, on the YouTube account, we need to make a lot more progression. We've been pushing a little bit further when it comes to campaign progression. As you can see, 74-40. As it is right now, campaign not super effective. And there are a couple things that I know, guys, if you have questions, definitely pop them in chat because there's a lot of questions that I've been getting on YouTube. And of course, the first one is when it comes to the Temple Rift and when it comes to this Temple Rift boss that we're seeing, a lot of players cannot kill this boss. So I've seen it from new players. I've seen it from older players. When it comes to the, and I believe it's the Astral Devourer, I think it was, if I remember correctly, that players are getting to floor 20 and all of a sudden they cannot build it or they cannot kill the hero. Now there are a few in there. What's happening, Jason? There are a few heroes in here that are absolutely vital for killing the hero. One of the big ones right here is Zora. So a lot of players have again been stuck by the boss. Zora is one that is very strong when it comes to killing the boss itself. A couple other ones, a lot of players said Demia works incredibly well, again, trying to kill the boss. The Awakened version of Shimiro, which I feel like a lot of other players would have. Another one that is really good at killing the boss because the methodology behind it is they have 5 orbs. If you damage the orbs, it pushes them back. After so many times that you damage them, it kills the orbs. If you don't kill the orbs, it is game over, which is kind of tough. What's going on, Brendan? Me at 74-6. So I've had that recently, Major, and I've seen it on the free-to-play account. I've been getting stuck with a lot of different places because of the power cap. The only thing I use to kill it with is Seal. Yeah, the Seal will do incredibly well, but you have to make sure that you have survivability within there. Again, you really do need magic damage. That is the big focus. A lot of players are going in there with pure damage or going in there with physical damage, and it's not really making a big difference. This boss specifically is magic damage, so making sure, and specifically AoE damage, yep, like Aurelia, anything that is AoE magic damage is going to be what you need to kill this boss. And again, a lot of players are going in there with different lineups, not being able to do anything to the boss at all and just getting decimated. It needs AoE damage. It needs magic damage in there, which is incredibly well. Yeah, Shamir with the Seal will work incredibly well. Awakened version of Lucius. What's going on, Shooty? Is Shalltear worth building up? Honestly, right now, Jason, I would say no. As much as I do like Shalltear, when we start looking at this hero, she is being used in the Treasure Scramble. I don't know any other place that we are using this hero at all short of the Treasure Scramble. And I know even when it comes to the Treasure Scramble, there's not really a big formation that's built around her. If you don't have Shalltear built up, you can go ahead, you can swap in a different hero. It will work incredibly well. And again, I as much as I like Shalltear and I like the design and the build of the hero, is she worth building up? Honestly, right now, I would probably say no, just because you have so many other heroes. And even thinking, if you go in there and you build out Shalltear, that means that you're not going to be building out other heroes. And we know every 2 weeks we're getting new heroes to AFK Arena. Even where I'm at right now, trying to build out Shahan, trying to build out Sun Jin Woo. There are so many heroes to build out. Then, of course, doing the engraving on Leviathan, as well as a couple other heroes. I don't have resources for it. Even looking at Skarath. So we went in, we did the summons for the Awakened version of Skarath. I'm getting to the point where we still need furniture. We need higher signature items. We don't have any materials at all to go ahead and engrave him. Now, I believe he's being used in one formation that we've seen him within the Curse Realm. And really that is Elvita SI40 worth going? I would save it. For having a regular hero like Elvita at a SI40, I'm only building her to a 30, and I'm going to build her in a 30. Now, you have to think about it for a minute. When it comes to the SI40s, the biggest one that is going to benefit from these are your damage dealers. When you look at some of the heroes like Scion, they're going to benefit a lot more from the SI40, just like Skylin, because of the stats. So when you think of Scion and thinking of Scion as a pure damage dealer, having another 19.2 crit rate here, 4.37 physical pierce, that is going to make a really big difference, including getting this extra ability. There are a few heroes that will benefit, again, specifically that you want at an SI40, where a 30 is good, but an SI40 is really game-changing. And that is the point where I would really focus on them to work incredibly well within a couple different places. Tanks, even looking at Alvida, she's not used a ton of places. So I would probably forego going a 40 on her, just because, again, we have so many other heroes that are coming up that are going to require or need that SI40 versus just having another tank. I don't feel like it is worth it. I would save it. What beast works with Aethys? The Awakened version, or are you talking with? Let me know, Tommy. I'm looking the Skarath or Aethys. Are you thinking Aethys itself, like this Aethys? Let me know. Many things. Yeah, what is Awaken Estrel to build? Awaken Estrel to build, yes, is pretty big. The reason being, she kind of plays a double role, Jason. With the Awakened version of Estrelda, we did build her at a 40. We got the, I believe, 60 engraving, maybe a little bit higher. We did take her to a 67 because she is playing a double role. As we're seeing the Awakened version of Estrelda right now, one, in some formations, she is actually best in slot, and she is also the best in slot damage dealer, which works incredibly well. Now, we are also seeing Estrelda as kind of a tank support role, meaning that she is kind of playing that support role because of the armor that she does provide within formations. There are a few different utility, a few different uses for her, even seeing her in pretty much all of the game modes, still remaining in that very top tier. And as we go through all of the iterations of the game modes, it seems like we're seeing a lot more use in there just out of the hero itself. Yes, the Wilder Aethys. So the Aethys itself, honestly, it depends where you're running them. So when we think of a specific beast, I wouldn't build anything around this hero within kind of the beast. Even if you look at places where this hero is being used, there's not really a beast that is going to be super beneficial for Aethys. It is going to be super beneficial, and I'm wondering where we are here. 1.3, so still doing pretty good. But I don't know a lot of places where he's still kind of being used. But normally, when you have a beast within a formation, the beast is going to be built on or based on whoever you have in the formation, and depending where exactly they're being used, will make a big difference. I don't know what specific beast I would use for Aethys in there, but overall, like I said, with some of these formations where, right here you do have the Pyrocrest Ibis, because like I said, with the Awakened version of Estrelda, we are seeing her best in slot damage. This amplifies your damage that the hero is doing. So it really does make a big difference on who you're running in formation. If you have all of the beasts available, it depends on who not only you're running, but also what boss you're fighting. Like right here, you're fighting Marcia. It's going to make a big difference. That is the reason why between the beasts, also between looking at different formations, looking at different heroes, there's no set collections. A lot of players ask me, just like we were talking about, what beast should I use with a specific hero? What collection should I use with a specific hero? Because when it comes to heroes in general, it's going to be very different depending if they're in the Curse Realm, the Nightmare Corridor, or the Treasure Scramble, on what exact one they're using. Most of your Ranger classifications will use the same one. However, again, pretty much best in slot in a majority of places. PvP, some heroes and some specific and very specific, thinking of like Leica, use still the Judgment Armor using Athalia's in there. Again, it depends on what game mode you're looking for. Depends on like Treasure Scramble, even thinking of our support collections. A majority of the Treasure Scramble will use Tassie's collection. Because of the Treasure Scramble, you want the survivability. When you start looking at even Zulrah's collection, again, PvP-wise, might be very beneficial to have it in the Treasure Scramble. But then when you look at some of the other game modes, it's going to make a big difference on who you're using. There's not really one that is really incredibly stuck. Like that is absolutely required because you have so many iterations and you have so many different game modes with so many heroes that provides a little bit more of utility, but also provides you having to build a lot more things out, which can be incredibly difficult. Can't believe they're bringing over Awakened Beasts. Yes. So Nicholas, and we talked about this a lot, and we have kind of went back and forth. And honestly, when you think about the Awakened Beasts, we knew it was coming. We knew it was coming for an incredible amount of time. I mean, what else are they going to break? You know, what else are they going to bring to it? We've already brought the Ghoulish Gallery. The beasts are the next things. A lot of players were saying if we could get beast levels, or if beasts are going to wear collections or artifacts or something of that nature. Are they going to have Awakened Beasts, which we know at this point, the Awakened Beasts are confirmed, and it is the exact same system that we have over on Companions, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy that they are bringing them in, and they've only brought one. If you've noticed, over the past, I believe it's been about 8 months, I think about 8 months, and maybe even a little bit shorter, since we did see the Awakened Beasts over on Companions. There's only one. There's only Celeste Wing. So I'm assuming that is the one they are bringing when it comes to AFK Arena. That Celeste Wing is going to be the one that is brought over to go ahead and summon it. Again, that's kind of my assumption. That's what we're going to see. Let me pull a copy of Leviathan. We have 43 more insignias, guys, and I'm tired of summoning for him. This has been a long time in the work and really in the making, which is pretty sad. Awakened Scrath is another Mauler flop. Yeah, I know. I completely agree with you, Long. I built out the Awakened version of Montandra thinking she was going to be good. Used very short. And I really yeah, the Awakened version of Scrath, it's still really new, but I don't like a hero that doesn't have utility in a bunch of different places. I don't like how it does it. And So No Res is here. Oh my goodness. How are you doing, brother? It's been a long time. I don't like how instead of changing up older units and updating existing content, they look to add more. So No Res, I absolutely, and TCT Trading Cards, thank you for subbing to the channel. Have a brand new sub there. Yeah, I agree with So No Res, is they could go through, and not even the older units, which they definitely could, but fixing and adjusting the existing content. That is what, and we've talked about this for a lot, and I know So No Res has, we've talked about this for a lot, is my thought is we do a patch every 2 weeks, just like we normally do. Let's go ahead and do some summons. But like I said, we do a patch every single 2 weeks. We're doing another patch. Within there, they have to do like 1 or 2 quality of life adjustments with the current content. And again, this is really my opinion. This is what I've talked about for a while, is doing updates to quality of life for the game itself every patch. Even if they focused on, okay, for the next, let's say 2 patches, so the next 30 days, whatever it is, we are going to focus on the quality of life when it comes to the Ghoulish Gallery. So how could we improve the Ghoulish Gallery in the next 2 patches? Making adjustments, making arcane staffs more obtainable, maybe making your recasting elixir a little bit more attainable. How can we make and improve the game that we got? Instead, just like what So No Res said, instead of just adding new things on top of things that are not working properly, I feel like it needs to be adjusted. It needs to be looked at. And I feel like AFK Arena, unfortunately, has went kind of away from that. As sad as it is, we haven't seen actual quality of life content updates in a long time. We really haven't. Little tweaks here, little tweaks there, but thinking of, again, the current system, like even here, guys, that's another 40 insignias. Maybe within here, streamer's luck, we will get 1 more out of here, but I'm thinking, and maybe we just broke it. Did we get it? We got it on the last one. There is no way, guys. We got it. I want it. I don't want to touch the card. If we got it on the 43rd out of 43, wow, there he is, guys. The very last card. They just wanted us to sweat it, and they wanted us to take it on 0. And you almost seen the entire screen almost froze Like, I don't think they were supposed to give it to me or whatever, kind of bugged out. But there we go. So out of 1, that gives us our very, very last one. Now, of course, Draconic insignias, we are at 0, meaning we are going to have a long time before we can build another Highborn Draconic hero. And even now, I mean, I've only built 2. We built Hildwyn, and we did build out. I wish I could build these dragons like you all. Honestly, it just takes a crazy, crazy, stupid amount of time. And like I said, even since, oh, we had a few more in here, but even since release, now remember, we need about 700 insignias to actually get these. So since release, if you guys remember, even thinking now, we got Hildwyn for free, if you remember, Jason. And then Gwen, we did put money into AFK Arena, so we bought the insignias to get Gwen, meaning we have built Lan and we have built Leviathan, and that's it. We got nothing else. We got nothing else to build. And again, we're gonna probably wait another 6 more months until we can build another Highborn Draconic hero, just for the simple fact that we want to run and get about 700 Draconic insignias. And a majority of the places that I get them from right now, we've already farmed out. When you start getting, further in tower progression, a lot of the insignias that you get in there are completely farmed out. You're not going to have access to as many or as often because they are kind of farmed out. Should I skip the new Awaken? Honestly, right now, Juan, I would. I really, and the reason being, when you look at the Awakened version of Scrath, and again, you got to kind of look at AFK Arena in kind of a bigger picture, where we know how Envy is performing. We know the Awakened version of Athalia. We know Lyca, we know Shamira, we know Estrilda. We know, and those heroes have been proven. They have been proven through multiple iterations of, Cursed Realm, Nightmare Corridor, Treasure Scramble, multiple things. We have seen the heroes built in their entirety. Scarath, as it sits right now, we don't know the utility, haven't been through enough of iterations of different game modes. I would absolutely 100% wait and really skip, depending on who you have built, just for the simple fact, again, that he's not proven and we don't know exactly what his utility is going to look like. So finally, guys, we get to add the engraving on there. There is the plus 30 engraving. I don't have enough for a 60. We're a little bit short, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build out whatever I can. So haste, of course, we know secondary ability, haste, super, super effective. Then I'm going to go up here to tenacity with the crowd control. And I think a majority of this, because yeah, we're pretty close with what we can build out. Let's remember, he's based on HP. So we want to build out some of his HP, getting those percentages much, much, much higher. Physical resistance, he is a tank. We don't want him to die, which I'm thinking, again, we're going to be pretty close to where we can build him out. So even there, yeah, 54 of 60. So we are pretty close. Is Awaken Lucius needed? And I'm not sure if I typed his name right. Honestly, the Awaken version of Lucius, we're starting to see him kind of used again. There was a while where the Awakened version of Lucius was kind of falling out of formations. As it sits right now, Lucius is being run together with Leviathan, and they have kind of made a comeback in formations, even thinking of like Treasure Scramble. We're at 69 right now. But looking at a couple different game modes and what players are using some of these heroes for, because also with Lyca was another one right there. We have Lucius and we do have Leviathan right there. Lyca was another one, which right there, Lyca is in the second formation. It seemed like Lyca was dropping down the tier list, like there wasn't as much utility out of Lyca. Then all of a sudden, we seen Lyca being used in a bunch of different places. And then I did also catch Lyca that was being used in the Cursed Realm and a couple other places that were best in slot damage. So it really was interesting to see when we went through, and I still have 16 hours. I have to fix my teams in here. But we started to see, again, a couple of iterations in different places. Even here, Lucius is being dropped out for the Awakened version of Iran. Very interesting combination. We do have Tamris in here, and we have Misha as well. I still hate this formation, just for the simple fact that it runs as Orthos. And of course, right here, if you do not have Halia, I believe Chad or the Chad is still, I'm drawing a blank on his regular name, but the Chad is still the best in slot here, which is Vithiel. And then, of course, we have Scion in here. Scion, I just murk every single time or excuse me, we have Skylin, and then we have Scion. And then, of course, the last one is blocked like we normally see it. But the last one is right here. So we are still seeing the Awakened version of Athalia. So again, it's pretty interesting. Did you see Awakened Soulless being used as best in slot in the Nightmare Corridor? The Nightmare Corridor is a little bit different. It's interesting to see because when it comes to the Nightmare Corridor, this is a place where heroes and the utility of heroes, even right there is Mesmer, are used very, very differently. Because even looking right here, like Marcille, for instance, this battle is 9 seconds long. Anyone, and this is where like the Awakened version of Scrath, any of the heroes that are take a little bit more time to build, take a little bit more time to amplify the damage, require a little bit of a longer battle to get stacks or build the attack rating. This game mode specifically will exclude them in the entirety because the damage, even here, guys, 7 seconds in there, 12 seconds in here. Most heroes do not have enough time to get all of their stacks up or build whatever buffs they need within a certain amount of time. And that, again, is where right out of the gate, guys, 7 seconds for a battle is very, very quick. And it's over pretty much when it starts. That's where, again, like we were talking about with the Awakened version of Scrath and a couple other ones, you're not going to see their utility go up a lot in those specific game modes. Because if you have a 7-second battle, the Awakened version of Scrath is taking 7 seconds to get into battle. It's already game over by the time he comes in. He's not going to work. He's not going to be used in the Nightmare Corridor, and we really do know it. We really know he's not. Again, he's not going to be in there. Doesn't mean Nightmare Corridor Treasure Scramble he's not going to be used, Nightmare Corridor Cursed Realm he's going to be used. And then, of course, Treasure Scramble is yet to be determined if he's going to be in there. How do you farm the towers? So within the towers, it's about just going in there when you're farming those towers and really doing the cycle. You have to have the heroes. It's either one or two big things. Is either one, you're going to build out some of your regular heroes that you normally do not build up to a plus 20 signature item, or you're going to over level to push the towers. Those are really the only two ways that you can really do that with the tower itself to really farm it. Now in here, I believe Leviathan we already have the 9 of 9 furniture on him, which we do. So in here, guys, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 heroes that do need furniture. So we have another 66,000 poke coins. Let's see if we can farm these out. We need so much furniture, and I feel bad because we are falling so far behind with the mythic furniture in here. There's a piece for Marcille. Now, where was she at? I thought we already maxed her out. Marcille, yeah, 19. Again, we know Cursed Realm and the Treasure Scramble, or the Cursed Realm in the Nightmare Corridor, that she is best in slot and formations. Big reason to build her up a little bit further is really maximizing the damage she's doing in there through the addition of furniture. Adding some more stats on there does make a big difference. Now, as you can see, we didn't get any of the ones that we need right now. And a double right there, guys. We got Sun Jin Woo and another piece there for Scion. But I'd be interesting to see how many poke coins that we have thrown in here through all of AFK Arena. I can't even imagine how many poke coins. I mean, probably millions, multiples of millions. There's another piece for Shahan. And of course, Scarath, we're just going to kind of wait. What's going on, Lucas? Thank you for joining us for the stream. Second piece for Shahan. And I'm wondering, do we have any of these close being built out? So yeah, give Sun Jin Woo the 3 right there. Almost have that built out. Still have and need a lot more pieces of furniture. The furniture never ends. That's the reason why I said when it comes to poke coins, there is never going to be a point where you're done. Because even if you have the heroes at a 3 of 9, you can always take them much higher than that 3 of 9 and just continue building them out in their entirety. 2 more pieces in there for Envy. Gives us 4 cards on the table. Let's see who we can build out in here. All right, so upgrade-wise, let's see, because I think most of these we were building out, so that is maxed across the board. Boom, we'll go ahead and max out 2 more of those, and then we'll build the small furniture. Envy is one where the furniture, honestly, all across the board, his furniture will do incredibly well. It adds a ton of stats. The exact same with Marcille. We have maxed across the bottom. And if you look at the strengthening of the furniture, it's adding her attack rating. So if we're going in here and we're adding a higher attack rating for a hero like Marcille, again, it's going to make a big difference on how well she is really built out and how much kind of top end damage that she can do in there. Let's go ahead, equip everything else, which unfortunately we don't have the furniture in there for Tamara either. And again, as we have 7 right there, we could finish that one out, but I think I'm going to go for some 3 of 9s. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Should something like the Dragon Tower be put in the game, it would help. Honestly, guys, any way that you could get even the Dimensional Tower, a Draconic Tower, any way that you can get more cards, any way that you can get more insignias, really do make a difference. And I feel like even some of it, we have to add something in there for arcane staffs to make it easier for the Ghoulish Gallery. We have to have something in there to be able to recast that recast elixir for the Ghoulish Gallery. There's a lot of things that I feel really need to be adjusted. And again, when we go back to the quality of life that we see in AFK Arena, there's a lot of things that need a little bit more of that quality of life piece. And honestly, it's sad to see, the state of some items in the game that gives her the 3 of 9 furniture. Want to get her up to the 9 of 9, but again, it's going to make a big difference on who we're building. Is there a reason why you don't dragon summons on your free-to-play account? So I use only Draconic teams. So the big thing is, do you mean the insignias? The insignias I'm saving to see who is going to be there. Because right now I could go through, I could burn all my insignias, which we can hop over to the free-to-play account in a couple minutes. But we could go in there, we could use all those Draconic insignias. Chances are the Draconic hero we get on there is not really going to have much use at all, just for the fact I feel like we might get 2 or 3 copies of a hero. So it's going to be very, very basic with the hero that we build. And then, of course, getting to the point of having a Draconic hero and building the Draconic hero up to the point where we want to use the hero or where we need the hero to be built. I think these other 2 I'm just going to save. Yeah, it's very hard because you'll chase the Draconic hero. And even now, it is taking most players like 6-7 months to build the Draconic hero up, if not a little bit longer. And that is also with having the 1 or 2 releases that we've already seen in there. It really does make a big difference being able to build them and being able to really build them successfully versus going in and just having kind of those half-built heroes, which is what we see a lot of times, especially in here, just because the cost is so high in there. That's kind of the thought or the logic behind it, is once I get to the point of having more insignias, I can build the hero that at that time is kind of my best in slot hero. That way I can make sure that I have enough to summon them. So in here, guys, just a little bit more fodder, and I'm 4 more stones here. Boom, nothing but fodder. The only one that we have left is, of course, our new Mauler hero. Everybody else is built out in the entirety. Even looking at Skarath, built out in the entirety. We're just waiting to get some more Celestials, some Hippos, possibly some Awakened heroes, but everybody else in here is kind of built out in the entirety. I'm going to have to focus on finishing out, and I want to finish out Leviathan. We just need some more engraving there. Just asking, because you'd be able to push the Dragon Forge. Yes, you definitely could. So, and that's where we have talked about it for a while, where the Dragon Forge is kind of a double-edged sword, because if you use your scrolls, if you use your diamonds, if you use your insignias in there, you'll have access to more of, and you know what? Let's throw up a poll. Let me see. Let me throw up a poll and see within the Dragon Isle. Should we use our insignias? Let's see, because I mean it's all on you guys, because we've been doing this for a long time. But yeah, we are sitting on a lot of insignias. Let's throw that up there, because I think we're at like 140, 157, 157. So like I said, though, with it being kind of a double-edged sword within the Dragon Isles, because we could come in here, we could summon, and thinking about the Dragon Heart Temple as it sits right now, Lan is incredibly high utility. Leviathan is another one, very high utility with the hero. But then even thinking of like a damage dealer like Skylan, just because we don't have that many damage dealers in there, entirely is where Oh yeah, entirely. So yeah, I mean, we could go in here, we could do the summons like we normally do. We could save till we got 700. Yeah, a lot of players right now, and again, we're seeing a lot of no's in there. It's interesting because if I summon out a hero, so let's say for instance today we chose, okay, we're gonna save and we're gonna build Leviathan. So I'm gonna use all my Draconic insignias for Leviathan, 157, thinking of where we are pity timer. That'll probably give me 2 or 3 copies, probably at most 2 or 3 copies of the hero if we have some good RNG. I know we'll get some additional loot. I know we'll get some other things in there, but overall, probably 2 or 3 copies of Leviathan, meaning that if it is 2 to 3 copies plus everything else we get in AFK Arena, we'll get roughly 1 copy, hopefully with some good RNG in a 30-day period with, again, the regular summons, everything else. But remember, if we do the summons, we could make a lot more progression in the Dragon Trials. And that, again, is kind of the trade-off between summoning and not summoning. And that's where a lot of players say, I want to save the scrolls, or I'm not going to use the diamonds. I'm going to save all the insignias. Because if we used our insignias and if we got lucky with 1 or 2 copies of Leviathan, even looking at possibly getting a copy of Leviathan and a copy of Skyland, we would be able to push through a lot more through here to get more insignias. But are the insignias worth it if we could get to essentially stage 5 or stage 8? Is it worth burning through 160 insignias to get another 20 every month? I don't know. And again, it's interesting because it is very, very much a double-edged sword, because you could go in here, you could make some more progression, you could push a little bit more content, but having the hero built up and using the insignias for the hero right now could affect the long term, because if we save, and if we save to the point of getting enough insignias to actually summon the hero in the entirety, so let's say we get to 700, we could have a hero that could carry us for an incredible amount of content going through there and building them. Now, Wormcrest Spire, this is another place we want to pull some more of these scrolls, pull some more copies of the heroes, and unfortunately, they're so limited. They are so limited with trying to get them. Would you say the next Awakened hero build after Envy is Athalia? Right now, it is Athalia. The reason being, when it comes to the Awakened version of Athalia, she is a hero that still has a lot of utility and a lot of game modes. And most of the time is that Envy will run in one team, Gabby. Or yeah, I think it's Gabby. Athalia will run in one team and Envy will run in one team. And you'll notice that if you don't have a lot of heroes built, which most players don't have every hero built, you'll still see a lot of utility with her in a lot of different game modes as a damage dealer, where you might not have Scion built or you might not have Skyland built. She still works incredibly well. And tier list wise, still one of the very top heroes. Again, being replaced a little bit just due to the power creep, but overall still doing very well in there. I've tried 2 to 3 months on the new account. Even 1 copy of Zora works with your usual damage dealer. Oh, in the Temple Rift, yeah. Yeah, we've talked about that. So Zora, Edgar, is one that is broken. So there are a few heroes within the Temple Rift, which even here, I believe I got through a little bit further on the Temple Rift, if I remember. But going through here, we already pushed through 40 floors. So this is the boss. This is the boss that everyone is stuck at. And look at my team here. So again, when you think of Zora, like you were just talking there, Edgar, the Awakened version of Shamira, even at a very basic, as we can see, legendary right here, I was able to kill floor 20 with that very, very super basic copy of the Awakened version of Shamira to go through there to get past floor 20. Like I said, most players have been stuck going through here, but we've already made some pretty decent progression. Again, getting a lot of resources, getting a lot of loot. Going through there, and as a very new free-to-play account, it makes a big difference. It really does make a big difference. I personally think you should save it because of the top tier. And that's the thing, as Aaron, is if a top tier hero comes out, we can absolutely 500 to 700 insignias. We can pick them up and really build them out in the entirety. It makes sense. And even at that point, if we get a higher tier hero, we can probably build out and push a ton of content in there. I'm hoping to get some more of the Draconic scrolls so we can actually just continue doing summons in there And I feel like if we do get a couple more of our basic heroes, we'll be able to farm those out as well. 256 stones on the free-to-play account, 4 more copies, which unfortunately most of those are food. I don't think we're building any of those. And then of course in here, we have farmed out a lot. I want to do some summons over here. We got some diamonds as well, but we have been going through the Noble Tavern and just, again, farming all of our scrolls, farming pretty much anywhere that we can in the entirety, going through here. Is Companions better than Classic for a beginner? What happens on Companions is you get a lot of summons. You'll build a lot of heroes. You'll notice usually about 3 or 4 months in, Companions gets kind of stuck. You do kind of get stuck, and I know there are a few things that players really do not like with Companions, like the ability to not get any of your older dimensional heroes. As it sits right now, there is no access to any of them, which again, a lot of players do not like at all. With the Companion server, and most of the events that were unique to Companions, they now have on Classic, which again, we knew it was going to happen. That was kind of what they told us from the beginning. We got another copy of Gorin and then a second copy of Mira. A lot of players were also questioning about why I switched over to the Wilders out of the Graveborn. So eventually, what happens is when you're doing the summons, there's going to be a point where I got enough Graveborn heroes that I'm not really focusing, all in on Graveborns, just because we got Randy, we got Mahira, or excuse me, we got Mira, and we also do get a couple other copies, including Ivan. So when we start thinking of the Graveborn heroes, we have a majority of the heroes that we want out of here. Even looking at the food we have, even the copies of Mira right here, we'll be able to build her up in just a minute. But even looking, we're building up Ron a little bit further. A lot of the primary heroes, the ones we wanted to build in the Graveborn faction, have been built. Again, when we look at Ivan and Randy and Mira, they were really the 3. Bron's going to be one that we're building up next, as well as a couple others. At that point of having 2 or 3 awakened heroes, we swapped over to the Wilders, just trying to finish out a couple more here. Even then, if we have food, we'll actually be able to take Nevi up to Ascended as well, which it looks like, again, we're pretty close in there. And then we'll do the exact same. We'll go to the Maulers, we'll go to the Lightbearers. They're doing pretty well, and we're starting to get a lot more Ascended heroes across a bunch of different factions, which are awesome to see, and just kind of continuing to build them out. What's going on, Kooky? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so we're still 66 in there for the percent on the no on there, which is kind of crazy. Why save, though? Even unbuilt Leviathan or Leviathan at Mystic is still a great hero. It is, but then if another hero comes out, I don't have anything. That is kind of, and again, I know both sides of it, Edgar. I know it's kind of that, it is kind of that catch-22, is because if I go in and I'm building out Leviathan, even Leviathan being at Mystic, still a very, very good hero, going to have some utility. There's not going to be a way to complete the hero. If there's another hero that comes out that is absolutely broken, not only am I not going to have the ability to compete Leviathan, I am not going to have the ability to build any future hero for about the next 6 to 7 months. And again, that's where it is kind of, it's tough. It's tough between both of those, and it's tough because of, again, like I said, it is kind of that catch-22, where if you build them earlier, you could have access to them, you can use them, but then you won't be able to build any of the heroes that are behind them or that come after them. So you're going to be kind of stuck there. Lilith is so bad. They're actually pretty good in comparison. And there we go, guys. We got another copy of Ivan. I will definitely take that one. In comparison, and if you've played a lot of other games like I have, Lilith is definitely has the ability to change and adjust and help in a lot of the game that they could. What power creep is next? The next is going to be the Awakened Beast. Which again, I mean, you think power creep, go back to day 1, guys. Go back to when we started with AFK Arena. And honestly, at that point, we did not have signature items. So that was, again, something that came out. We got signature items. And when we did get signature items, everyone were like, oh my God, what is this? Then we started progressing a little bit further. Then they introduced furniture. Again, everyone kind of went crazy. Same with the engraving. It's never going to stop. In 6 years in AFK Arena, there's always going to be something that is the new power creep. They said the exact same thing when we introduced the dimensional heroes. we still seen the exact same thing. When Dimensional Heroes came out, they were like, oh my gosh, it's the new power creep. We've seen it forever. We've seen it forever, and we will continue seeing it forever within AFK Arena. There's not going to be a point where they're like, you know what? We're not gonna produce anything. There's nothing new coming at all. Don't even worry about it. Nope. It's always going to be coming, and it always is coming. There's not going to be a time in the future that I'm aware of that we're not going to have anything at all. Hopefully we'll see tier 5 gear. So Tommy, interesting enough, if you guys remember, so when we were introduced to tier 4 gear, when we were introduced to essentially tier 4 gear at that point, tier 5 gear was in the code. This was like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Tier 5 gear and even higher level gear was in the code, Tommy, when they were data mining and when a ton of players played and we data mined everything. But overall, it was in there with the tier 5 gear. It had just never been released. And as of today, we've never seen it. Now, of course, here we have 2 more days. We'll have the last 2 pieces of the heroes that we need. But yeah, the tier 5 stones were out there a long time ago. Don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's good that they develop. Don't get me wrong, but what introduced to make in the gameplay? Yeah, like I said, for me, within AFK Arena, they need to fix some of the things that don't work as they should. So again, from my perspective, playing AFK Arena, for 6 years, is the Ghoulish Gallery needs adjusting. We absolutely know that. We've talked about that till we're blue in the face. Ghoulish Gallery, 100% definitely needs adjusting. Same with Draconic Heroes. They are another one that the Draconic Heroes absolutely need adjusting. They need some updates. They need some changes on the way that we get Draconic Scrolls, on the way that we get insignias. They need a few more things in there, essentially, to make it a lot more streamlined with the content and giving the ability for other players to have access to the content short of buying it. I know it is kind of behind a power wall. And look at that. Sour Haze, thank you for joining us, brother. How have you been? I know it's been quite a while. So we've seen Sono Rez and we've seen Sour Haze in here. Very, very cool. In the Oaken, let's do a couple summons in here. We'll go ahead in our Lightbearer Tower, and I've been building this out. I believe we had another tower that we were finishing in here, if I remember correctly. I think Liberta's we finished, but I thought we had, there we go. So we are still building out Aethys, so there we go. So we'll do Aethys. And again, we're not spending our diamonds in here. We want to save them in the entirety. Let's go ahead and invite our next hero in. So that gives us another boom. And again, we're going to have to wait to see exactly. It's going to be a little bit, I'm going to have to remember to come in here and do the actual furniture in here. We have 2 already sitting here. Maybe a mythic piece, which it is. And there we go, another piece for Goran. Goran, I'm going to build out next. I feel like he's one that I definitely need to build out a little bit next. But there we go. So we have 2 more pieces in here, still building them out in the entirety. And you know what? I think I'm going to go for Liberta out of the build. And we were saving some of those for Envy, but I know it's going to be quite a bit for Envy. And knowing that Liberta is getting the 9 of 9 furniture, and then we'll just start rotating different heroes through as we build them out in the entirety. So we'll recycle everything else. That gives us 2 more pieces. And again, we finally got him up to the plus 30 signature item. So we did build him out, got him some furniture, which is awesome to see. Then we're focusing on Envy. And I just systematically build them down the line. This is in the next in line for the plus 30 signature item. And we've also been taking a couple other heroes up to the plus 20 signature item. Again, kind of systematically. Doing good, brother. I hope everything, yeah. It's kind of crazy. I was off work this week, so it was incredibly, incredibly busy. But going back to work next week, so we'll have to see what's coming down the pipeline with this patch. Should I SI40 Marcille or Aurelia? I would probably go with Marcille. Now, the big reason being, Marcille is best in slot in a lot of different formations. When you start looking at one of the broken heroes and even looking at the signature item, right here, the Magic Pierce boost provided by stacks of black magic is increased. If you're looking to really maximize the damage this hero is doing, that is going to be it. Marcille is going to be the one because, again, there are a multitude of formations that she is best in slot. Within the Nightmare Corridor, within the Cursed Realm, there are a few places that she is best in slot. Aurelia is good, but she will work even at a plus 20 signature item. versus having the 30 in there. She will still work very well. And again, you could keep her at a 30 and then go for Marcille at a 40 and it would work. What would you say is the best carry for each 4 faction? Honestly, to have a carry in there, Gabby, you got to have a damage dealer. That is one of the most important. So even looking in here, right here, Scarlet is the carry. As much as I like the support heroes, as much as I like the tanks, Scarlet is the carry for light bearers. Within the Mauler faction, honestly, Naruko will be super broken, even thinking early game in the tower. Within the Wilder Tower, it is Trishia again as that damage dealer. Graveborn, it is going to be Randy, which is actually right here already at 2 stars. They are honestly the carries. And when you think about, again, the damage dealer within the carry, those 4 absolutely that are non-awakened, that will do incredibly, incredibly well in a lot of different places. They will carry. In some of them, and I talk about this a lot, is when you think of a formation in AFK Arena, so even when we look here at, whatever formation it may be, pretty much you're going to have 1 damage dealer. So even thinking of a team that I run a lot, which is this team right here, as you can see, even if we throw in a Seal, even if we throw in anyone else, is when you start looking at the build of this team, Nara, you can move wherever you need. So what we mean by that is Nara, depending on who is opposed that is completely opposite to her position, you can move her wherever she needs to be able to grab and kind of lock down one of the heroes in the back. You can even put Mira here in the front, because remember, when Mira dies, she does her effect where she turns into the mirror, the other girl. So she is very, works incredibly well in formations because she has kind of that cheat death. And then, of course, right here, we're going to have Ivan, Shield, Randy. We also do have the ability of the awakened version of Shamira. Really big. So a majority of these formations, you're running 1 damage dealer. That is usually it, is you're only usually going to run 1 damage dealer within formations. So even if we wipe this out and we look at another formation, Crescio I built just because he was free, but thinking again kind of another formation is you're going to put your tanks up front. Naruko will do very, very well in formations. Even looking at here, Villanelle, even though she's support, will do very well damage-wise when you have Naruko built up with Nadia. It is very broken in there. Can you get Mira to Mythic Plus yet? I don't think so. I need food. I can look at it in a minute. But like I said, most of these in here is you're going to have 1 or 2 tanks. Even thinking in here, these are the ones that I use for a tank. We have Scarlet as our damage dealer. We have Palmer as the boost. And then we have support rate here, which is, of course, going to follow Scarlet. Works incredibly well. Alvita is very hard to kill. 1 damage dealer, which is Scarlet right up here. Rest of these are supporting your main damage dealer, keeping her alive. And it's that easy, guys. Most of them. Yeah, any heroes that can cheat death are pretty broken. There's a lot out there. Yeah, Rowan, I thought about. It's funny because when you look at the tier list, when we think early, and I know I absolutely love Rowan, Rowan is actually one of the very first ones that they sub into formations when they talk about going in and doing a bunch of different things, which I don't know if I literally just dropped everything within AFK Arena. It looks like it almost lagged, almost like it stuttered or something. But yeah, Rowan, looking at the wish list, he is one of the actual first ones that we swap out in here to put. So once I do have one of these heroes within the wish list up to, and I know all of them 1 stars. So once we do get someone up to 1 stars here, it's actually going to be at that point that we're going to swap some other heroes in. And at that point, again, Rowan gets swapped in when somebody else gets swapped out. What's going on, Kiwin? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Rowan, I'm going to build. Rowan is another one, which especially when you get to multiple teams, guys, it is a game changer with Rowan because he just does some very, very, very incredible things with Rowan in the way that he is. So again, when I get one of these to 1 star, and I know we got to be pretty close in here, Rowan's the next to go in. So in here, food-wise, we have 1, 2, see nobody to build up Palmer a little bit further. Even there, we got a couple more copies. But yeah, 1 star once we start picking them up. Even in here, we have 1, 2, and again, we just need more food. We could finish out Villanelle all the way to Ascended. In here, 1, 2, 3, just need 1 more. That'll take Nevi up to Ascended. And then within the Graveborn, even looking at Mira, we have 1, 2. Oh yeah, that gave us enough. that did give us enough. So we can actually use these 2 copies of Naruko, or excuse me, not Naruko, Naru. There we go. So legendary, that is going to take Mira up to, boom, there's the Mythic Plus, and we already have those copies, taking Mira up to Ascended. Very. Yeah, Rowan fell off hard. Early game will work incredibly well. Earlier game, Rowan does, and Rowan will carry for a lot. But now when you start looking at, some of the other heroes, when you look at like what Palmer does, what Jerome does, Rowan does take a backseat to a couple of those, just for the fact that longevity wise, even utility wise, in a lot of different places, they will do, and they does incredibly well. So here, I believe this is my Graveborn tower. We will drop Mira in here. And again, I have to remember to come in here and build out all the rest of these rooms. And there we go. We'll just keep her right there optimized, give her a little bit of furniture. And again, little by little, guys, that is literally all that it's going to take. So once we have, I think, 11 more hours, we'll finish out this room. We'll build out Scarlet's room. We'll build out Mira's room. And then we'll just keep going from there. Now, I also have to, what do we got? We got about 10 minutes left. Voyage of Wonder. This is another place where I'm going to have to figure out exactly who I want to build out of here, because this is the place, guys, getting your essence out of here, getting your EXP, getting your stones, everything else. Got to finish this. Is Palmer that good? Yes. So keep in it, the big thing with Palmer is he does 2 really big things when it comes to Palmer, is he increases crit damage and crit damage amplification. Those 2 pieces together, oh, we didn't even borrow anyone. Those 2 pieces together are very broken. And there's not many heroes that do what he does with the crit and the crit damage amplification. That's the reason why Palmer is still so strong, is you'll buff up the crit and you buff up the damage that is from the crit because of how he's built. And he's one of the only ones that raise both of those together. So yeah, a couple places he will do very well in formations, which is why so many players still run him. So here we do the same. We run Athalia. We'll go ahead and drop everybody else in here, get this one finished in a couple seconds. Awaken Belinda crashed out worse. So Tommy, the Awakened version of Belinda is, again, another hero. You have to think, the Awakened version of Belinda is already 2 years old, going on 3 years old. As a damage dealer, that is an insane amount of time for the power creep to take effect on an account. And of course, if you don't have a lot of heroes built, if you don't have a lot of Awakened heroes built, the Awakened version of a Belinda will still do work and does work incredibly well within there. Scarlet and Braun, which I think we have both of those. We have Scarlet and Braun. This is going to be one of the few that I can actually build out or finish. I believe of the other 2, we only finished one of them as well. And I actually need more slots. I've been going in the Resonating Crystal and trying to get a lot more slots in there, so I can actually build out everything else that I need. But this, of course, is going to give us, boom, more treasure, more resources. Guys, this is a place you don't want to miss. And I know there's a couple other events that are coming up. Any place that you can get rewards in AFK Arena, you have to. Jerome, Palmer, Ariana, Albana, Roseline, and maybe only the Rowan. Yeah, Rowan, and again, Rowan does require the signature item. So he does require a little bit of a bigger build, which again, looking at Jerome and Palmer, a couple other ones in there, you would absolutely build them long before you would build out Rowan at this point, just for the fact of where the hero is, really where the hero is at all. Yeah, Palmer is good. Like we're kind of talking. Yeah, Palmer is pretty good. Which in here, I don't think we can have anyone die, which we didn't. Mira's right there in the back. 1, 2, and 3. I think we're at what, 14, 15? Celestial, Hippo, and then different heroes in the formation. So let's go ahead and just drop a couple of these in, making it easy in there. Don't agree. Awaken Belinda works great in the campaign and generic tower. And that's it. So Edgar, yeah, she works well. And again, it makes a big difference. And I say this a lot, guys, because even if different factions, even if you look at a hero like that Awakened version of Belinda, is if you're missing a lot of other heroes, that is your go-to. The Awakened version of Belinda in the campaign will still work incredibly well. Looking at the towers, Lightbearer Tower, of course, going to work very well. But then when you start looking even outside of there, like the guild boss, she will still work incredibly well. If you don't have other heroes built that actually replaced her, she is also one that works very, very well when it comes to the Temple Rift. She will still work incredibly well in there. There's still a lot of places where the hero is and can be used. And like I said, where my YouTube account, where I have every hero built in the entirety, is a lot easier to pick and choose exactly who I want to build or who I want to use versus you saying, okay, well, I have 5 awakened heroes built. Who can I put in formations, even though there might not be best in slot? Who can I put in the formation that is going to work and fill kind of that slot because you don't have anyone built? Even looking like the combination of the awakened version of Belinda with Palmer and Jerome with Rosaline, still, again, those combinations will work incredibly well in there. Within different formations, they still do and will continue to work very well. They do. I started a new account and got Bron at 2 stars. The other ascended are Ivan and Randy. Should I swap Bron? So that's what I did. If you caught one of my older videos, Gabby, is I actually did swap Bron. I swapped Bron, and I believe I swapped Bron to the Wilders. I believe I did because Ivan and Randy will carry. And Ivan and Randy will carry for an incredible amount of time. The third one is just kind of a bonus, just like getting Mira. It is just kind of a bonus. It will work incredibly well, but there's probably another faction where you could use a 2-star hero that is going to carry you for a lot of AFK Arena, especially if you're earlier game, the towers. The front line must be tanks. The towers are going to be the part where you really struggle, and that's the exact same spot that I really struggled, was the towers. That's why, again, I swapped my hero. I swapped my Bron to another hero. I don't remember exactly who I did. I'm trying to think, because we did a video about swapping Bron, and I did end up swapping Bron to another one. And then, of course, once I built him, Gabby, I just rebuilt the old hero. Trishia, that's right. Yes, I did swap it to Trishia because we had no damage. That's right. You got it spot on. Yes, I swapped Bron for Trishia because in the Wilder Tower, we had 0 damage. And we needed damage in the Wilder Tower, so we did swap Bron for Trishia, which Trishia right now is the driving force in the Wilder Tower. Looking at the support that we have in there, looking at the tank we have in there, that is the driving force in there. So 5 different factions, so let's swap these out. Yeah, that was a good trade. It was a good trade. And right there, guys, right there is Trishia. Again, that we're still running. And then, as you've seen, Bron, we're building up. I had same insane luck with Bron, got like 4. Yeah, it seems like Bron, yeah, Bron works incredibly well with the seal. So does Nox. Nox is the broken one with the seal if you have Nox built up. But yeah, Bron will do incredibly well just because he's hard. Same with Athos. Athos is another one because of the ability to just lock everything down. Athos is pretty hard to kill with the seal because all the enemies just sit there crowd controlled. It's kind of goofy, but it does work for AFK Arena. Yeah, the seal at 9 is where the seal breaks. Even now, I think my seal is on 3, but like what Edgar said, yeah, at 9, it breaks with no ranger or mage. All right, so there we go. So we get our pop up right there. So no ranger, no mage, which I know that we have a warrior, which is here. I'll go ahead and drop in some more warriors. No, Lady Simona loves me. I got her out of stones. Honestly, Lady Simona is another one, which I feel like, honestly, discipline. Lady Simona did incredibly well, and we're used incredibly well. And it seems like as of now that Mira has replaced what Lady Simona did is kind of what we're seeing. And right now, that's kind of exactly what we're seeing. Look at the resources, guys. All the stones, all of that, that is going to be more levels. Now in here, I know we picked up, I believe, 1 more. So we don't want Ivan in here. So who do I need to get? And I'm thinking maybe the new Mauler that I should probably pick a copy of because I know she's in the wish list and I know she's still in the ship. So we will get some extra resources. I'm going in for all of the baits in here. And I know a lot of players said you're absolutely crazy going for all the baits. But I know at this point, and there we go, 34. Yeah, as much as I would like some of the engraving, I'm going to go for the cores just because of the sheer cost. We have to go through and complete, and there we go. We got one copy of Telmar. And again, the hero is going to work incredibly well. Just got to get some more copies in there. Got some more stones. Let's do some more summons in here before we conclude for this Sunday. What are some of the one-hit wonders, even for late game? The same ones. Honestly, Leica, the original version of Leica still does work incredibly well. The functionality doesn't go away. Brutus is another one where the shielding aspect in there to kind of nullify the burst damage. Brutus will still work incredibly well. There's a few that still do, again, fundamentally, still go in there. How good is Astrilda? The Awakened version, very good. If you're talking about the Awakened version of Astrilda, still does work very, very well. Kanisa and Rook, absolutely, guys. That is awesome to see that we got another hypo in there. 2 stones. Could this be an Awakened? Yeah, the Awakened version of Astrilda still does. Yeah, Thorin works incredibly well too. The Awakened version of Astrilda is best in slot in a lot of places. Definitely want to make sure that you do build out that Awakened version of Astrilda. Again, best in slot in a lot of different places. Still does work. How do I save so much resources, but I'm a whale and I never have the resources you do? What do you mean? How do I save so many resources? I use them on everything. I don't think I save that many resources. I farm the tower. Easy. I farm the tower like mad. And honestly, even now is most of my towers, I am capped. I am capped until I gain some more levels. So we're literally sitting on the ability to farm everything that we have here. Again, I was power capped in all of the towers. Any tips is just really, honestly, farming them. So I'll show you. So coming in here, even now, I believe within the tower itself, I can make some more progression. Is I will go in here and I will set my teams to going in here, looking at the heroes we have, which again, I believe I'm already power capped in here. Is I will let this, yeah, again, all of mine were power capped, but I will go in here and I will auto battle this and literally just let it run. It might take 10, it might take 50, it might take 100, 200, 300 attempts before we go through here, before I'm able to actually finish one of these tower formations. I farm them to the point, the King's Tower, I was capped. I need to gain some more levels so I can continue pushing them, but I will farm them, and I play on a PC, so it's easy. Like for instance, right now, when we're done with this live stream, I have to go cut the grass. So I'm going to take this account. I'm going to set my formations. I'm going to let my formations run while I go out and I cut the grass. So I might be outside for the next hour and a half. I'm going to let it go because eventually, yep, no matter what, you'll eventually beat the stage. Sometimes you'll be very, very hard stuck, or you'll get to a team that you can't. There is, every time you go in there, there is an RNG factor that you could come out even with a lower powered team. I've come back sometimes, and especially if you're not farming like the regular King's Tower, I have come back on my YouTube account and literally farmed and went through here, and I came back and I was like 180 floors through the King's Tower with the formation that I went. It ran for about 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, I was like 200 floors through the King's Tower. Guys, do you know how much loot that is if you finish 200 floors within there? And I do this too when I'm around the house. Is, let's say for instance, I'm going to do something, whatever, is I will set my team up. I'll put all their gear on. I will put everything on the heroes. I will get them all set up. I will put the auto battle on, and then I go and I do whatever I want to. I will let this auto battle, and I don't like it because if you're playing on a phone, you really can't do it. You're going to burn your phone up. You're going to blow your phone up. But yeah, I go in there and I literally just let it run while I go do other things. I go out and I do other things, and I just let it run and run through the towers over and over and over. Would you recommend to build Leviathan to Ascended instead of 1-star, or wait for the next Highborn? Have you already started building? Have you already started building Leviathan? Do you have anything already committed to the hero? That's a really good question. Have you started building them? I decided to pull for Leviathan to Mythic because I had 400 cards. I'm 7 copies after 453. At this pace, Christopher, there's the problem. So that is the exact problem that we were kind of talking about, is if we go on the Dragon Isle, and I know we're not going to use the insignias, is I have 157. Chances are it is roughly, and we kind of pace it on 65 insignias per pull, meaning that if I run 100 and what's that, 65, 130, so 130, chances are I could get 2 copies of Leviathan, and that's it. If I got really lucky, I could get 3 copies in Leviathan, which I would get him up to essentially Legendary Plus. Would he have some utility? Yes. Would I spend the next 5 months building him? Probably. And then, of course, like I said, if we got another hero along the way, wouldn't have the chance to go ahead and build him. Yeah, that's the question. Do you have any other ones built? Nah, not at all, but I have 610 cards. Honestly, at this point, as much as I like land, I would probably build Leviathan. Between those, and I mean, some of it you're kind of splitting hairs. The thing is with Lan is an older hero. So there might be a point where Lan, and also remember though, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because building out Lan doesn't require the star. So building out Leviathan, you do want to get him up to the 1 star. You do want to do the engraving on there. Makes a big difference when you build him up with the engraving, just for the tanking ability and everything else. Getting him into 1 star is a little bit higher priority. Land, you don't have to, but I'm worried if there comes a time where, and we have a lot of support that can kind of replace land, but as we continue to get more heroes in the future, I feel like there's going to be a point where land is going to have a little bit more less utility. My land is 1 star. Oh, yeah, I would do Leviathan. I would, just because Leviathan's used everywhere, and literally everywhere. Even if you look at the tier list we just did for September, Leviathan is in the SSS tier. There is not a place Leviathan is not being used. And of course, when you look at some of the formations, there are a few places where if you do not have Leviathan, the formation doesn't work. That's kind of the broke thing. So even again, kind of thinking here, where if you're not running Leviathan in a formation like this, the awakened version of Iran is not going to live without what Leviathan provides within the formation. You're changing up the formation in its entirety. Same thing when it comes to other game modes. He is best in slot in a lot of the formations. I would absolutely build him. And even then, where if you build Leviathan, you can always merc like a Skyland, and you pretty much have everyone you need. I mean, within there, looking at the highborn Draconic heroes, looking at being able to sub in formations, is if you can merc a copy of Skyland and you have land built, which you already do, if you have Leviathan built, you pretty much have everyone built, which is awesome. How frequent do we see changes in the meta, considering how long it takes to build a hero? Honestly, every couple months. I would say probably every couple months. And most of the time that we see changes in the meta, it is not entirely new formations. Where every now and then a hero does come around that does change a formation, like right here with Envy. Envy changed formations. Envy is such a strong meta hero, which again, we don't see them very often, but meta change, and really Envy changed the meta formations. Same with Marcille, is when you look at Marcille and Laios together, Marcille changed up formation. She went best in slot as a damage dealer, with Laios being used in conjunction with her. Without her, the formation never changed. The meta formation wasn't there until Envy came out. The formation that we see right now with Marcille never existed until we got Marcille. Now, again, we see some adjustments, but even if the meta changes, it also makes a difference on who you have built. Just because, for instance, let's say when you come in here and you look at our formation, you know, and we look here with Julius, and you can see Marcille right here as best in slot. If you don't have Marcille, you're just going to run a different formation in here. Even though maybe it's not the absolute best meta formation, you are going to run a different formation. Even here, where if you don't have Iran, players are running the awakened version of Lucius. So again, if you don't have Iran in the entirety, this is a different kind of a build-up formation. But then even looking here with Liberta, and then of course, if you don't have Skyland or Scion, they are two where this formation will change in its entirety within there. Is having 2 or 3 dimensionals good, or 1 or 2 better because of the limited resources? Honestly, the dimensionals you'll use kind of here and there. There's a few dimensionals that are very broken in comparison to any of the older ones. Even thinking here, like even here, Sun Jin Woo and Shahan, you should have gotten them for free. You should have those. Marcille and Laos using a lot of utility. And then, of course, Rem, and I would say right here with Shuna. Shuna is one that has a crazy amount of utility in there. That does work incredibly well. But when you start looking, I mean, 1, 2, 3, even going into about 3.5, even Rem, if you dropped Rem out at some point and just use Shuna, Marcille, Laos, Sun Jin Woo, and Shahan, that's really all that you need when they're going in there. Yeah, there's a few. Yep, like what they said, like Marcille. Marcille Envy, yep, absolutely straight. Shalltear has been solo carrying me through the tower. If you have Shalltear, she is one that can, because of the cheat death, she comes back alive, and that will carry you through the tower. And again, it's going to be either the hero build, like we kind of talked about. It's going to be the hero build, or it's going to be the levels. It's going to be, or even a combination of the both. But when you're going through there, that is going to make the big difference between those two. Is going to be the levels, is going to be what are you carrying, or how, or who is carrying through the formations. It makes a big difference on who you have. And that's why I've said, even from the beginning, it makes a big difference on who you actually have and who you're building with information. Now in here, we are still building out these to 6. We have 2 right here. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to drop this into our treat spectator. Remember, we are not building out the seal. The seal is going to be the very slow build. And when we reset, once we do the plan that we have here, the seal will actually go to 18 from resonating level 6, which is kind of broken, but it is. How much of a game changer? So it's a bigger scale because you're going to be able to cheese or cheat within the Golden Frontier. That's going to be the big thing. I will get Shahan tomorrow, but have Rem and Shuna already. Thinking of dropping Rem. I would be interesting. So we don't know where that's going to be used, just for the simple fact we don't know how Shahan matches up with Rem and formation. So that is something 100% that we have to test. We have to try, because free-to-play players, because new players don't have access to Shahan early. Even looking here is we're going to get both of these tomorrow. We are going to have to see where these are going to work or how they are going to work. Only time will tell where and how and if they are going to be used and how they're going to work in formations. So we're going to have to see. We're going to have to wait and see exactly what that's going to do. But all right, guys, so that is going to do it for Sunday's live stream. We're going to have to see when we get in there. When you get extra spices, are you supposed to use them on the wish list? So with that, the beasts, we can use them on any hero in the wish list, but not the seal. So that is, if you remember, guys, no spices are going to the seal. The seal is naturally going to get to 18. So what we're doing right here, we have the trickery chest is at 3, talisman is at 3. We do have the treat spectator. We are taking treat spectator to 6. And then we are also taking the owl to 6. Again, systematically through the pet resonating crystal that we're going to go. And when we reset and we finally get all of these built to resonating level 6, it provides us enough secret spice to get the seal to 18, which is it. I'm going to have to explain it because I know a lot of players don't get, because you get refunded when all of the beasts are built, but I'll have to show you guys later. All right, like I said, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you guys for joining me for the stream. Off to cut the grass as I always am. So have a great weekend. Got a lot more that's coming, and I'll do the beast resonance video tonight so we can kind of explain it and what the trick is. Some people don't call it a trick, but I do. So we'll have to see exactly what it is. So again, guys, thank you guys for joining us for the stream. And as always, thank you guys for watching.